Why you gotta be so heartless? I know you think it's harmless. You're tearing me apart.
Hey everybody, we're back here. We're going to be working on episode 3 today for our YouTube series. And my goal for today is to play things at more of a slowed down pace. So we're not going to be doing an insane amount of building. We'll probably build out one more enclosure and that'll be it. But we've been taking a lot of time. So to get started in this time lapse, I just wanted to say my goal was to do less time lapsing this episode. Didn't quite turn out that way. We went a little crazy, which hopefully you guys don't mind. Again, at the beginning of the series, it's all about it. But we start out here by finishing off these buildings, which we've been talking about for the past 2 episodes since we put them in. They needed just a little bit of decoration, just so we weren't stuck with having these white like plaster walls or whatever they happen to be. So that's what we start with. We just give it a little bit of decoration. We do have a pretty major time lapse coming towards the end of the video, so stick around for that. That's a really cool enclosure slash food court area. And you'll see probably from the thumbnail what we decide to do with that, but I'm very excited. Didn't think I was going to wind up liking what I made as much as I did, but wound up really happy with it, and so I think it's going to stay for quite a while. And then, eventually when we start modernizing things, it might get modernized, it might not, depending on how we're feeling. It's fairly modern. It's not like super concrete based and not very colorful, but I don't think modern necessarily needs to be colorful. I've seen plenty of modern houses that are very basic colors, and I like the colors on this build. But we'll get into that later. For right now, we're just tossing on some log walls to kind of match what we built last episode, which was that information center. And the peacock enclosure. We can't forget that. And we do have some issues with the peacock in this episode, which is funny. We wound up breeding like 10 of them, or 15 of them by accident. So I think here is where we're going to slow down, and we're going to, oh, no, sorry. Sorry for the confusion. This is where we do some decorating of these pathways. I said it once, I'll say it a million times. I can't stand the regular terrain in this game. It just looks so terrible. Like, I feel like it needs something like this, where you can paint on almost like a jungle vibe. Here you can see we're training up some staff and everything. So I was hoping to get a little bit more of the management side and a little bit less of the time-lapsey side, but we need stuff to manage if we're going to manage. So I figure it's better to get some building in and be happier with the zoo overall before we slow it down and get into only managing. But these planted wood panels, I love those things. Here you can see we're already having issues with them, and I couldn't really realize what it was until I checked how many peacocks were in there, and I realized they're eating their food so fast because there's 15. Again, we're probably going to do that treatment over here as well, but you're going to see later. I don't know if I show it later in the episode, but I kind of figure out how I want to wrap all my paths around, make sure everything's connected. But these panels, they just make it look so much better. It, it looks like area that's not walked on. Looks like a little bit of grass and some plants. And I think it just fits better. We could do some mulch beds and stuff too to make it look a little bit better kept. But I think this is like the best way of making it look unkept is using these pieces. Because if you just put grass, the normal short grass looks pretty terrible, and so does the long grass. I can't stand every map you go to is just covered in that long grass. It doesn't look good, I'll tell you that. And maybe you're of a different mind, but not me. Here you can see we were checking on Dougie. He's our Gariel. Um, and I can't forget, I have to name the bear after my first subscriber, so I will do that in probably the next episode. I'll start off with that. But here you can see we're just tossing in some plants. And we're trying to make these beds look a little bit better because it's just dead space in a zoo. And the best thing you can do with dead space is just decorate it. Even if it's like just meaningless, tossing stuff in like this can make your zoo so much more appealing to your eye as you're spending all your time in it. Um, and then I think pretty soon here, we're going to be ending this time lapse off, so you'll get back to live me. And then we'll be coming back to commentate over the second part of our uh, super fast build mode that we want to put in here. Um, so this first side is Asia. And we do have D holes that we could put in. I'm not super sure about putting those in. You're technically South. Oh, you're Africa. All right. Bactrian camel. They're found in Asia. I'm a big fan of the Borneo and orangutans, but I want to do something super special with them. Chinese pangolin are okay. Black bear just requires so much space that I don't think I'll go with one for a while. Panda could be cool. Let's see what we can afford. We can get a panda, we're going with the panda. I think that's pretty obvious. Not the red pandas. Oh. We could get a male, but we can't get a female. How about form... How about, can we get Himalayan brown bear yet? 210. Oh, and we can barely get a female. So we'll go with these Himalayan brown bear. I really like these guys. So what I want to do here we are back with our second part of the big time lapses. This is going to be focused on that building that I was talking about a little bit earlier. We wanted to do the same sort of idea as the last building where we put everything inside. So we're not looking at these food stalls, if you will. And then we're going to do something really cool back here, which I think everybody's going to like. Um, and what's funny is you're not going to expect it because it's something completely different than what we've done before. So obviously we've put these buildings, these guest facilities, we've put them in buildings before. We built the whole information center for it. But this was an idea that I had, I think, like a few months ago that I tried doing with my entry building, but it just didn't feel right. I think it works much. Oh, and we're hopping over to plant some more recycling bins. Good tip. Place those everywhere. But I wanted to do this a while ago with like an entryway. Just add a super cool space where the people got to interact with the animals and it wasn't like just walking by. So we wind up building a food court almost with a back seating area on a patio that connects up with a bear cave, which is pretty pretty sweet in my mind. I think that that whole idea is just super cool. Like one day, or 1 second, you could just be eating your food, and all of a sudden, you're looking at a fully grown brown bear, which is what we're doing here. Himalayan brown bear. They're one of my favorite species in the game. I think they're just super cool. And now we're gonna get it all decorated up. Remember, using rocks and such. Like, yeah, obviously this is a wood building. You can tell everything's very, very man-made and it doesn't look natural. But when you mix in like some of these temperate rocks, it's kind of close in color and it works. Here you can see we're getting our picnic benches in. We wind up swapping those out for the New World ones. I like the New World ones a little bit better. No offense to anybody who's into the European classic theme, but not my cup of tea. There you can see we had to undo that and we got rid of that tall grass poking through. And we're going to use one-way glass too, so we give the bears a bit of privacy. But in reality, they have no privacy. They're going to be viewable at almost all hours of the day. I think we kept that fairly even. I eyeballed that, so not the not the best, but we decided to chop that wall off short and make it so it's even. And here we go. You're going to see, again, this is an episode 1 trick. Split stuff from groups and slide them in and out of each other. If you have a building that doesn't perfectly line up, or it doesn't perfectly line up, so you build multiple um, objects that are in the same grid space. And here you see another trick. We're actually using the paths, but because they're hidden, I'm not really worried about the shape. As long as they connect up with um, the the like stores themselves and the areas that we want them to lead to, we're not going to be worried that they're on a perfect grid. As long as it's functional, I really would rather it look nice. Here you can see we're just closing this space off. We don't need any windows on that side, so we're not going to put any windows on that side. I think that's a good rule of thumb. These windows, they take a while to get them framed in right. Rather not deal with it. Here you can see we're doing some future planning by putting down that path beforehand. And I think we're going to put maybe like a monkey house, but do like the Japanese monkeys because we are in Asia. And then we can eventually expand it and do the Bornean orangutans too. Here you can see we're just trying to close this off and make it feel more like a cave. And one of the hard things it is about this game to get right is making things unsymmetrical. Or like there's only like 20 rocks and there's only a few of each size. So one of the best things you can do is just spin them. Spin them over and over again until they don't look the same. Because if you want something of a certain size, you're going to have to, use some of the same rocks. But by spinning them, they won't look the same. Your your eyes, it'll play a little trick on you. It's like you're not even paying attention to it because you're so focused on like trying to perceive the whole big thing. So there you see we put two rocks right next to each other, exact same rock, but we flipped one the other way. You'd never know they were the same rock. So that's a good building trick. Here we're going to wrap some staff paths around just for future planning. We'll probably use these same staff paths and then connect other barriers um, for other things in the Asia area out behind it. You also saw me do the Ruffin Terrain. That's a good little trick too. What you do there is you just roughen it and then smooth it, and then you give yourself some like natural hills and valleys. Here I got this really good idea, and I wind up liking how it looks, and it's functional too, which is perfect. Um, if you go to any modern zoo, 90% of the time you're not going to have a flat barrier. You're just going to have you're gonna have like a like a child height wall to keep people from jumping in the pits, and then you're going to have a pit beneath it that separates the animals from you. And it's so that you're not looking through glass. It gives you a more immersive experience when you're just looking over a pit like this and you can see them on the other side. And I've been experimenting with it in a few of my zoos, and I really like it. So we wind up doing this, and we just put down these concrete walls, and then we try to sink the terrain as close to possible to match it. And it works pretty good. Again, it's not always going to be perfect. We can't square the terrain off, but it is what it is. Here you can see we're going to add a little water for them. They don't need any swimming space, but I think it's just good. It makes it so you don't have to put a water bowl. I really don't like water bowls. I think they ruin enclosures because you can have a really nice looking enclosure, but as soon as you toss like a bunch of food and water bowls in, it just doesn't look real anymore. It looks like I don't know. It looks like a video game, and I'd rather try to make it immersive. Even though we know it's a video game, I'd rather it be immersive and for the zoo to look more natural. So you're gonna see we start placing these logs down, and because I flipped it before I got it in position, it threw it all off, and I didn't like the angles we were getting, so I just deleted them and went again. Here we're gonna put like a little end one. That makes sense. And we tried to put one there, didn't like it. I think what we do with it later on works better anyways. Yeah, we just take one of these and sink it like halfway in. Give it like a little banister. Nobody's really going to be using that anyways. It's just kind of there for the look. And sorry for those effects there that you see. Unfortunately, that's just coding issue with the game. We almost put one of these shop fronts down from the Arctic, and then I realized, you know what? I don't really want Arctic. It doesn't fit Asia. I just wanted it to be more modern looking. Like, yeah, we're gonna get to even more modern looking builds, but I wanted this one to feel like out of everything in the zoo, this was the most recent because it is. And so once we get to a point where we're finishing off maybe like the Asia area, maybe we'll go back and modernize all of the Asian area. So we can take these builds that we really like and then just kind of spin them a little bit. Here we actually swap roofs too, because again, I don't want that Arctic roof. When we go to the Arctic area and we start doing that, it'll make sense. But not here. Here is Asia. So um, we kind of just go for, a classic style roof. We didn't even we didn't go like four pitches on it. We only went for a two pitch roof. I believe that's the right term, but I think this looks nicer than doing four pitch roofs. I don't think those fit very well. I don't know. But again, everything's up to you. Always build your zoo to what you want, not to what everybody else wants. Looking back, we probably could have changed that Arctic door as well. Unfortunately, I don't think I wind up liking this side as much as I like the other side um, of this building, and I think it's just because there's nothing I can really do with it. I don't have all the pieces unlocked, and that's something I've been working on, kind of on the side, is researching all the pieces. so we could get more things to mess around with. But I couldn't find enough stuff I really liked to decorate out this place. Like we put some outlets and everything. Um, Here we actually slide the roof over just a little bit because I wanted an overhang. But see those 4-pitch roofs? I think they look better if you have like a smaller top. And these, I ended up really liking those too. I don't know what those are, those white panels. I think they're from the New World bundle, but I really like them, so we went with those. And then we're gonna get all of our windows in here. You'll see in the back here, I've got these like super tall walls, but again, those don't feel right. Like on a building, sure, but they don't feel right on a back patio for a restaurant. You wouldn't see 12-foot tall wall enclosing you in. You'd see like maybe a 3-foot wall. Just, I don't know. I don't know what it would block, but you'd see like a 3-foot wall around the patio. So I went with them. Here you can see we're going to try using some of those Arctic lattice. I don't really like those in the end, so we get rid of them. We try using these little archways to give us some detail. Didn't like those either. They're all scrapped. So we go through a lot of stages of trying to decorate this wall. And it was this wall in particular. Finally, I said, you know what? I know I'm going to want this little bit of roof trim. We'll toss that on. Maybe that'll help. I think it did too, but we wind up going even a little bit crazier. Oh, and sorry, and if your OCD is killing you, sorry, but if anything's not visible to the outside, and I don't plan on spending a ton of time inside, I'm not gonna go like absolutely perfect. I'm gonna get it to where it makes sense, and then I'm just gonna leave it. Like those floors in there, nobody's even really using them. I'm never gonna see them. I just wanted to get it so they weren't glitching constantly, because that can actually decrease your frame rate when you have things glitching in and out of each other. So that's just a practical thing. But finally, if you remember in the last video, I found these windows and I fell in love with these windows. The issue was they just didn't fit my last build. So I finally came back. I said, you know what? I like these windows. We're using these windows. I couldn't figure out what to do with the center of these, the top little bits. So you'll see we're going to wind up getting rid of them. Actually, we might frame in these windows. And I use these I-beams. These I-beams are awesome. They're good for like little amounts of detail, and they can add some color. Super important. Unfortunately, we can't put one on the other side because the window, we take these bears, we'll slap them on the side. This is a bear area. We were looking at getting panda bears. They're just a little bit out of our price range because we couldn't afford a male and a female, and there wasn't even a female for sale. But these guys are awesome. Himalayan brown bears, there's like 2,000 of them in the wild or something like that. It might even be less. I think there's like 200 of them in the wild, so they're probably going to give us more conservation credits. Which also is super interesting. Just because I somebody was talking about this. I was watching a live stream. They were talking about how just because we find an animal cute, it's more likely to get funding to protect it than if it's just like an animal we don't find cute. So like panda bears are well on the road to recovering just because we find them cute. But then there's like, you know, we've got hundreds of whale species that are on the verge of extinction that we're still allowing people to hunt. So that makes no sense. But here we're going to use, I've never used this trick before, but just adding some one-way glass to make it look like there's a window, but maybe there's an office up there and just nobody's in there at the moment. There's no lights. Here, Sorry for the jumpiness. We're trying to get these roofs covered so that there's not just a big opening to the ceiling. That's how you get bats, folks. This, I actually found this window interesting. I wasn't expecting to like this window because it was an odd shape. I like these windows for sure, but I like the other window too. I don't know. Looking back on it, I didn't make any big mistakes or things that I wouldn't, I would want to go back and fix on this building. So this might be a permanent building. It might be our first permanent building that we built. Here we're going to toss in another frame. We start framing in these one-way glass windows. And I think even though they're wood and the other is either metal or concrete, I think it still works. As you can see, there's nothing up there anyways, nothing important, but figured might as well have it. There we place another one of those I-beams. We figure, hey, maybe we'll put some by the door. Had to move that switch. And this is where I made like a big decision, and I decided to paint them white. And I'm not sure whether or not it was a good decision or a bad decision. I just really thought, you know what? Black doesn't fit the color scheme. We're going with this wood and white. And I wound up liking it. Later on, we had to swap those lights out because they were way too powerful. I'll have to show you guys in a future episode. At night, this building is so bright it hurts your eyeballs. So we're gonna have to get rid of some of these lights. I went a little bit ham. We put some more lights in there just so at night when the bears are sleeping, people can get a good view of them still. We're trying to find a place for a sign. I decide, you know what? We'll put one next to this bear statue, and we'll decorate this in later. But we're just slapping some more of these wood, uh, just wood planks all around it. We'll color those. It's not perfect. Not a big fan of this, but I don't want to go with the big letters like we did with the information sign. I think that's a good place to use it, is for the information building, but it wouldn't really make sense for every building to have that. Here we're just trying to find the umbrellas, and we wound up picking up some prop umbrellas, which are not the umbrellas we needed. Then we swap out these benches, and I think that's the last big thing we do in this time lapse. Oh no, I forgot. We put these null barriers in, but that's not really a big deal. And we're just trying to get those as close to possible to the edge. Anytime somebody glitches through this, it's going to stress out the animals, which sucks. And with that, we're gonna press play again. They're still a little low on the hard shelter, which is unfortunate. But there's a ton of peacocks in here, so let's see. Can we get a hold of one of these? Okay. Animals. Oh my god. We've got 10 juveniles, 11 females. How many animals do we have? Do we have like the ability to see an overall number? All of them? So in total we've got 15. 15 peacocks running around here. Holy shit. We're gonna have to get rid of some of these guys. Looks, you're a gold. You we can release to the wild. Sure. Don't care. let's go ahead and pause. Temperature. So let's go to terrain. Hard shelter is good. Terrain is not good. They've got more than enough space, but there's way too much long grass and not enough snow. So let's go ahead and let's hit all this with the short grass treatment. Looks better anyways. There, we got a little disease. Uh-oh. I don't know why we got so much. Looks like we're gonna need Let's go with staff. Let's hire another keeper, and we'll continue on the trend of training up all of our people. We're just gonna add in a couple more lights, and I think that's gonna wrap it up for this video. And I want to do something with this too. We have a ton of diseased animals. I don't know why, but... And we can bump this up to like 8, and this up to like 6. And that should be good enough. Ah, shoot. Quickly too, before we wrap up, we're gonna need to add some more bens. We don't want people throwing their shit everywhere. But see, this is what's super cool and why I wanted to do this. You got a family sitting here eating their dinner. 10 feet away is a fully grown Himalayan brown bear. That's super cool. I love doing things like that, giving these weird viewing angles that you wouldn't normally get. And that was my goal with this, was I wanted to have a building that was like a little food court, because we need one for the Asian area. And then I wanted to have a viewing point like this. And before the next episode, I'll probably play through and just release some animals, just so we can get our conservation credits up. So next episode, we can look at doing, like, maybe clouded leopards. I think would be super cool. But thanks to everybody for watching. If you caught the stream, thank you. Give me a follow. I'm trying to do these pretty close to daily, but haven't been super good about it so far. So I will be back streaming hopefully tomorrow this, and then from there we can go ahead and you'll see the next stages of our Asia area. We're gonna have like tropical going this way, and then on this side we'll probably have like more of the Arctic or the mountain animals. Unfortunately, I think it's just because they're super far. So let's go ahead and really quickly before we wrap up here, we're gonna add a staff keeper hut over here and assign 2 keepers to it. And we'll give them a small staff room as well, and we'll decorate these in the next episode. But real quickly, we're going to set up some zones. And this is just going to be for the keepers, so we don't want those. And then staff, we'll take this keeper and put him on work zone 1. And so hopefully he'll be closer and can deal with these animals. And actually, why don't we... Oh, wait. I'll just take all this and put it in a work zone for right now. But yeah, we will do a little bit of work off camera, just trying to get some conservation credits and get like our staff trained up. But any major building or anything like that, that'll all be done. That'll all be done on stream, and then uploaded to YouTube. But thank you guys again for giving me a watch.